This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, the Baroness and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4 Media.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, the often quoted as meanest woman in Hollywood and wicked witch of the West Coast.
Thank you, Variety.
At least according to Variety.
Yeah.
And we are on with my co-host, the baddest bear in the cage, because any other bear would be tranquilized and put in the forest.
Yes, I'm the only exception.
You're the only bear allowed in the cage, Bear Fiorda.
Yes.
Unless we are looking at some kind of naughty club, then that could be a whole different thing.
A Nordic club?
Naughty, not naughty.
Oh, no. I don't want to say it like you because I'm not trying to insult your accent. Naughty.
Naughty.
All right, let's move on from that.
Well, speaking of naughty, Sydney Sweeney is in a lot of trouble right now with the left, and the right is loving the jeans ad. And once again, I think your politics are idiotic.
Well, here's the thing: it's not just the jeans ad. So it started out with was it American Eagles or Outfitters or whoever it is, and then it transitioned to where now she's working with like ice cream companies. I think Baskin Robbins made a flavor out of Sydney Sweeney, not like the whole scented candle thing from
vagina. That was Gwyneth Paltrow's
not Gwyneth Paltrow stance. It's like just some kind of sweet flavor.
Well, they already sold her bathwater in soap.
What do you mean they sold her bathwater? She made bathwater too.
She took her bathwater and it was made into bars of soap and sold to young men. So I think the reality of it is, if it sells, it sells. If you can get away with selling that, if you can get away with selling it, more power to you. As far as it being this or that or right or left, look, America, just come back to the Commonwealth. Clearly, you're a failed experiment.
We have this argument every single week. She is determined that we absolutely must go back to the Commonwealth. We under the King's guidance,
yes.
Rule. How would you say that?
Rule.
Let's see. Our sound engineer stated, ironically, that doesn't sound very clean. Yeah, no.
I know.
Someone's bathwater made of soap is not going to be clean. How do you get glycerin out of bath water?
Actually, no, it's not just that. There's things added to the bath water. I'm sure it's like 2 drops.
Okay.
But the reality is they had to sell enough soap, so it's like 2 drops of bath water. It's really only put there for masturbatory purposes.
It's marketing is what it is.
No, it's masturbation. It's sex. The thing that sells the greatest in the entire world is sex.
Always
so
has.
let's
Oldest
be honest.
Industry.
Exactly.
Oldest industry.
Marriages have been built on it, failed on it. Kingdoms have been bought and sold. All you need is one gorgeous woman that knows how to use it. I'm not going to use that as a segue for our guest because I think she's brilliant. I mean, she is gorgeous, but she's also brilliant. So I need a better segue. So please help me. Today, we are going to be talking about print media, the future and past. And I need a better segue. You are not helping me.
I don't mean to sound like the heel in this, but I will play.
You're always a heel in this.
No, I really?
No,
I feel so bad.
No. Actually, I'm kidding. You always play the good guy. Even it's ridiculous. Even his mouth guard has a teeth smile on it.
It is me just smiling as my mouth guard when I fight. But my point is, I didn't really think print media was much of a thing anymore. I mean, who's actively going out to get newspapers or physical copies of articles?
How dare you insult my God, Anna Wintour?
I just don't. Listen, if I want the news, I'll go on. My grandmother, 80, 90 years old.
Hold on. You cannot get real news anymore.
On Google.
You
cannot
get real news anymore. All you get is a bloody echo chamber to whatever conspiracy theory you believe.
Yes, that's
true.
All
that comes up on my media is why America should go back to the Commonwealth.
People have always had opinions in media.
Yes, but once upon a time, it was Walter Cronkite giving you information where you could decide it for yourselves.
Yes, once upon a time when it was interesting enough to get just news because you couldn't get it immediately to your eyeballs via the World Wide Web. Yeah, that was enough. But now people have it consistently over and over again.
All right, we are going to get Miss Aronson on to explain to us why we are wrong and actually sort this argument out for us because we've had it 47 times. Let's bring her on.
I'm enjoying this conversation so much. I just want to listen to you talk forever.
All right. I mean, I could keep going. I'm good for this one.
Well, they're here to listen about her, not about us.
That's very fair.
That's the point of the show.
Well, welcome to the show, Laura Aronson. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so honored to have met you both at an incredible event here in Hollywood, and this has been such an amazing journey for me, and I'm so grateful to be on the show today.
For those that don't know, Miss Aronson is a reporter, journalist, however you want to say it. She is the person behind the information and one of the few I don't think is full of it. I met her at an event in
That's the
Hollywood.
nicest thing you've ever said to me.
I met her at an
Very high
event in
compliment.
Hollywood, and I have to tell you, she's one of the few people that did not try and sell me a reality show about herself. But she is very, very genuine. I went actually and read a lot of your work afterwards and found you interesting. You've had a history at ABC. You're writing for the Hamptons magazine. You have your own column. You have a lot going on that a lot of people don't know about, and they don't know a lot about media, especially our audience, because we talk about what goes on behind the scenes, and usually it's punching people. So please, could you tell us a little about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. I had kind of an odd way into media. I was actually an actor. I worked on several different shows. I was on Law and Order. I was on a show called New Amsterdam, which aired on NBC.
That is an excellent show.
And it was. I played a nurse. It was an incredible. I did 2 seasons. We did it during the pandemic. It was one of the most amazing shows I ever worked on. We talked about the pandemic. It was a really incredible experience. And from that, I had a commercial. And through that commercial, someone heard me and asked me to apply to a job with CBS. I then went to work for CBS in Arizona, which was an incredible experience. I was their evening anchor and reporter. So I had 2 shows that I anchored and produced. And then I went out into the field and gathered information and reported. And it was 16-hour days, and they were some of the best days of my life. And from there, I received an offer with ABC out of upstate New York. So I was in Syracuse and often Rochester as well, and traveling around. We reported all throughout upstate New York. And that was also an incredible experience. I learned so much. I was their weekend anchor. So I anchored a show that came on before Good Morning America regionally with the affiliate. And I also was able to report during the week and had some incredible stories that I'm so proud of. And I left about 8, 9 months ago now, when my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. So I have been taking care of her and doing some writing and working a lot more freelance now.
You know, a lot of people, when they hear some of these stories and what you have going on, they might be asking themselves, you know, when do you have time to do X, Y, and Z? My question is, when do you have time to breathe, given that
Well,
heavy schedule, actually?
I'm looking at this going, there are not many people who would give up a lucrative career in media for family. And the fact that you did, I think, speaks very, very highly of you. That's very
Thank you.
unusual in our industry. You know that most people wouldn't. Why did you make that decision?
So it's just my mom and I. We lost my dad when I was 10 years old. I have no siblings. I have very few living family members, and it just was a no-brainer. We got the diagnosis. I took a couple days off of work, and I was under a contract, and I went and said, we need to figure out a way to make this work. And obviously the news goes on, right? They're going to replace you. Someone else is going to come in. They're not going to hold the evening news seat for you or the morning news seat for you. So, it was a very tough decision, but I don't have a single regret about it. And when she's healthier and I'm ready to go back full time, I hope that people will understand that.
Absolutely. You know what? I get what that's like, because I lost my father when I was 5. It was just me and my mother. The family really wasn't there at all. So I understand what that's like to have to really devote yourself to that one person, especially when they're in their time of need, just the way they took care of you when you were growing up. And I could tell you, should a circumstance ever fall like that, I know I'd stop my fighting. I know I'd stop my stuff to make sure that she was taken care of, because I think that's what you really should do at that point with someone who raises you up the right way, basically gave you the ability to seek the opportunities and advantages that you were able to achieve. So I think it's really awesome that you were able to give back and help her out, and still are helping her out until she's able to fully recover. Or actually, I don't know. Is she in some kind of remission right now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Things have been really good. We had some really good scans, and we actually had the word surgery mentioned to us for the first time. And if you're someone who's had any experience with
That's
metastasized
wonderful.
cancer, hearing the word surgery after everyone saying you're not a candidate, or you wouldn't be, it wouldn't be a good
Right.
option, was just, that was the best thing we could have heard. So things are really good, and it's because I'm here. I know it's because I'm here, and I know it's because I'm living with her in LA and just taking care of her. And I totally commend everything you're saying as well. And like I said, I don't regret it for a second. And I feel that I've had such fortunate people in my life and opportunities for, more part-time and freelance work come my way because of, the decisions I made.
Right. No,
No,
that's
you
beautiful.
you have your own column.
I do. I've been writing for Hampton's Storyboard magazine. It is an incredible magazine. They are all over New York City, Long Island. I think they even distribute to Jersey, and they're an incredible magazine. I think they do about 5 to 10,000 copies. And it was kind of a funny story. Joe, who is the editor in chief and publisher, he reached out to me and he said, I had been in the magazine. They photographed me while I was working for ABC and things like that, but he knew that I, wasn't working there anymore, and was offered, would you like to write for us? And I said, oh my gosh, well, I'm not spending the whole summer in the Hamptons. And I spent a very short week, July 4th. I think I was there for 4 days. And I also went back for Jill Zarin's event to honor Bobby Zarin. Those are the only 2 weeks that I've been in town. And I said, I don't plan to be there that frequently. And he said, no, that's okay. We're going to figure something out for you. And so they gave me this column called Laura's LA. And I've
I
just
love
been
that.
writing about being bi-coastal and some really fun things going on both coasts and charity events. And just, it's been an incredible journey with them this summer, writing for all their issues.
Nice. And
I
now
love that.
we've looped back to the part we were at just before you jumped in, and that is, I don't exactly understand why, not as an insult, but that there's still printed media out there when everything is come digital, and it's so much easier to get, at least in my brain, clicks and eyeballs on your product if it is online versus people having to go grab a physical copy.
If you keep complaining about print media, I'm going to feed you to Dame Anna Wintour.
Feed me. Are you insulting her
Now
more than
that's
me at
a
that
show I
point?
would
No.
watch.
Mhm. She's, I love her. She's lovely.
That's fair.
Contrary
That's
to
fair.
popular opinion, she's actually really lovely.
Now, what's cool about their magazine is they also have a digital issue. So you can Google Hampton Storyboard, and they have
Gotcha.
everything digital as well. But they print, like I said, between 5 and 10,000 copies, I believe. And let me tell you, every single one is gone in previous years. So I was photographed at the Southampton Animal Shelter charity event. That was last year. Yeah, last summer. And I went looking for a copy of the magazine in Montauk, and the publisher, oh, we're everywhere, just pick up a copy anywhere. And I went looking and I said, I don't see any. So I think people in the beach town vibe, you're still grabbing a magazine, you still want one with your coffee. Maybe you're only reading a few articles and setting it back down, but I think there still is that. It's almost a homey feeling, right? To have a cup of coffee with a magazine, or sit on the beach with a magazine. We're still in that department. I think people still pick it up. I agree with you. When you're working full time, running around, I don't know that I could see myself grabbing a magazine, but in the Hamptons, you're laying by the beach, I think you might grab it. Why not?
Also, what are you
Got
going
it.
to do in a
Okay.
doctor's waiting room? Think of a doctor
I'm
again.
Yeah.
on my phone.
Oh,
No, that said,
valid point.
I
What if
can
there's no
understand.
Wi-Fi?
I'm still
But
on
your
my
phone
phone.
won't work on the beach.
True.
That's
I like
okay.
that.
Very reasonable. And that's what I was going to say. I think that's a very good point, that it may be circumstantial, because it does have a certain vibe and a ambiance. It makes it, I want to say, more comfortable, more interesting or intriguing to grab that magazine when you are in certain settings versus just rushing to work or rushing to wherever you happen to be, and then you're catching your news on the fly.
That is very, very true. That is very, very
That
true.
was a
It
good
does
way to
give you a
phrase it.
feel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that's the way I would take
I
it.
like that.
Because I don't even get much news anyways. I don't typically look it up and see what's happening. A lot
You
of
spend
life
every
just
day punching
passes up.
people.
'Cause
You don't look at anything.
That's what I end up
But
getting
that's-
into is, and you know what? If I was in your position where I'm a journalist, I might always only be focused on the news itself, and other aspects could pass me by a little bit too. But because I just fight, that's what tends to rush past me. All the modern stuff, what's going on. I catch up with everything a week later.
But
In
what
your
else is
case.
fun, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean
Oh,
to
no,
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 interrupt.
please.
please.
You pick up a magazine, maybe you're looking for your friend, maybe you're thinking, you're seeing photos. What's neat is some of the photos in there aren't always posted to social media. So maybe you're picking it up and you're saying,
Right.
oh, there's my good friend, how funny, she's in the magazine. There's still sort of this fanfare, and they put, like I said, I mean, they put me in the magazine when I was younger, and before I had much credentials, and continued to photograph me. And similarly with people who are maybe trying to come out as creators on social media, and they
Right.
might give them an opportunity to be in the magazine. And I think that's what's so fun about it, and so hometown feeling about it, right?
I like that. And that brings up a good question. How do you think magazines, as we go forward, say, for example, your company, will have to proceed with their physical copies in order to kind of keep people intrigued or interested? Do you guys put in funny tidbits and fanfare like that to keep people coming back for more?
Yeah, so they do some really cute things that kind of remind you of what was 17 magazine? Do you remember that one when
Oh,
we were
very much.
teenagers?
I do
So
not.
Mm.
they do what's in
That's
your
because you're a boy.
bag, things like that. And they do some really fun Q&A articles, and there's some really amazing columns in there. They also always have a list of upcoming events. So if you're in New York City, say you are rushing to work and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't remember when this event is. There is no compiled calendar for the Hamptons, right? It's sort of, if you know, you know. So what's neat
Okay.
about it too is you might pick it up and say, oh, I forgot this charity gala is this weekend, and I'm going to be heading out there this weekend. And they have a really, really, really comprehensive calendar of events for each issue and each month. And through, it's a short season. We're in the
Yeah.
Hamptons.
Mhm.
Historically, my life growing up in New York, we were in the Hamptons from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So it's a very, very short season. And I think that's what's neat about it as well.
It's also a
That
very, very tight-knit crowd. One of the things I actually found most interesting is there was recently an advertising campaign done by Ralph Lauren, which was focused very much on Black culture within that group. And when you look at the families in the Hamptons, they go back generations. I have friends that have been going there for 150 years. I mean, really, the houses have been forever. The people have been forever. It's the same group forever.
right.
Unfortunately, my friends are calling me going, I'm in the Hamptons, I'm in Paris, I'm in Italy. I get to go to Fayetteville, Arkansas, home of Walmart, for a cage fight.
It's because I love you. It sounds like there's almost a level of exclusivity when you start to pick up the physical copy versus just getting your news online.
Well, there's exclusivity with the Hamptons as well.
Mm.
Now, when you look at the Hamptons and you look at the people that have been going there generation after generation, the whole place is built on relationships. Personally, I think that makes people more social. People think it's exclusionary. There is a lot of discourse on the positives and the negatives of it, especially the Hamptons itself and what it means symbolically. What do you think? What is your view of it?
I sort of had an experience with both, right? So we lost my dad when I was 10. I'll candidly say he was an attorney. He had his own firm. He made a lot of money. We had a plane, we had a boat, we had everything that you would need to have to fit in, right?
Mm.
After losing him, having a single mother, bills started piling up. She was a very talented attorney as well, but, didn't make anywhere near the kind of money that he made. And things got tight, things were sold off. And I did sort of, I think in my own head, feel that, do I still fit in? Oh my goodness, my jeans are from last year, they're not the new ones. And I had sort of that internal monologue of, am I still cool enough? Do I still fit in? And I think and I, even we had a home for a while, not having that home, staying with friends, things like that. I felt in my own head, you get a complex, your self-esteem says, oh, maybe I don't belong here. And I was I was in my own head about it, and I was grateful enough to, have incredible friends and amazing friends that were like, we don't care, let's just have a good time. And still to this day, there's oftentimes I feel that, oh, maybe I don't fit in, or, even at some of these charity events, I wish I could give bigger donations, and sometimes I'm just not able to. And
Mhm.
I think the beauty of it is that there is still that accepting mentality. And I was in my head about it. I don't think anyone someone thought what I was thinking, right? So get out of your head. That's my advice.
I like that.
It sounds like you may have dealt with a little bit of like
Imposter
imposter syndrome, but you had
Yes.
good friends and
Well,
relationships around to
even
keep you grounded.
even Elon Musk, if you have a conversation with him, is worried he's not smart enough or rich enough, or he's going to let people down. It doesn't matter who you're talking to,
Yeah.
at what level. Everyone, you know, everyone has some
social
level of
anxiety is there, yeah.
imposter syndrome. And when you have, in your case, I'm going to do a little armchair psychology here. So apologies.
I
not a
love it. I
doctor.
love it.
You have, like Bear, and you have this massive loss in your life. You have this mother you're cleaving to, and then this life that came from the person you lost. It would be a shaken foundation. It would be a very, very
Absolutely.
shaken foundation.
Absolutely. And I
How
think,
did you think
oh,
that
sorry.
shaped you as a person?
I think sort of that inner monologue of, I oftentimes, getting dressed or getting ready, think, oh, maybe I don't belong in this room. And you belong in any room you walk in. And I think that
Mhm.
that was the biggest thing that I had to take away, is just telling myself that before any situation. If you were invited, you belong here. And sometimes even if you weren't invited, but you think you should be in this room, walk right in.
I like that.
Take the shot. It's funny. We hear a lot about kind of like personal self-motivating things right now. Is this kind of the stuff you talk about in your articles or in the, in the column that you run?
My articles I've tried to keep really light and fun, and just the events and the lifestyle things going on. But everything I mention as far as lifestyle, one of my favorite beauty gurus in New York is Beauty by Lucy. And Lucy is such an affordable, all of her pricing is extremely affordable to everybody. She is not the person who's going to charge you thousands of dollars for hair and makeup. And so I really try to include, smaller creators and incredible people who I can when I can. And even I mentioned an event company in my first article, and they have incredible events all over the country. And similarly, yes, you can buy the VIP for more expensive, but you can still buy a ticket for $70 to walk in, and you never know who you're going to talk to.
Yeah.
What advice would you give? You've been on extreme ends of this, where there's been struggle and where you've had affluence. You have a door into this world that a lot of people do not have. What do you have? What advice would you give to people that aspire to this lifestyle? We see it splashed on social media, but for most people, it does feel unattainable.
I think it's confidence. There were times where I would be invited to events. I was living in New York City, and I would be invited to an event in the Hamptons, and I would get myself out there for 12 or 13 hours, and maybe I didn't have a place to stay that night, and I'd go back to the city. And it's about pushing yourself. I would never lie. I'm not saying, lie and go out to an event and say, oh, I'm staying with my family in the Hamptons. No, I'm out for the day, and I wanted to meet you, and I wanted to meet this group of people. And I think a lot of people say fake it until you make it, and I don't agree with that. But I do agree with push yourself, put yourself in the rooms that you want to be in, and help mold yourself into the person that you want to be. But I don't think you should fake it. But I do think you should try to, you got to get out of bed, you got to get off the couch, you got to stop watching the reality show, and, go and do it, right?
I'm stealing that for my next TED Talk. I like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I will credit you, but I'm taking that for my next TED
Take
Talk.
it. I love it.
I love
it.
My whole last one was about getting your butt off the ground. But what you said there is one of the most profound things. I hate that fake it till you make it thing. If
I
you
do
lie
too.
to
I hate
people,
it.
they'll never trust you.
Yeah.
I am not a fake it until you make it,
Mhm.
but I am a, show up and be personable and meet
Yep.
great people, and, just go and try, put your makeup on, put your heels on, don't fake anything about yourself, but look beautiful and show up and try your best to make the connections that you want to make, right? You're not going to make it watching them on TV.
I
Audience,
completely agree.
confidence and honesty. Exactly what I'm getting from all this.
And that's it. And it's authenticity. And something I know my audience knows, I'm probably one of the most taciturn people you can deal with. I met this lovely woman at an event, and she's probably the only person I spoke to for more than 30 seconds, because everybody else pisses me off.
And pitches you shows
and
about
pitches me shows
themselves.
about themselves. They really do annoy me. And she's one of the most genuine people I've ever met. So if you are taking advice from somebody on how to be likable, please do take her advice. She is genuinely likable. And that's a very, very rare thing.
Thank you so much. And so are you. I mean, you're so authentic, and I got that immediately.
Authentic, yes. Likable, not so much. But I do appreciate
when you want to be.
Oh, I appreciate that. I will ask you now. You're incredibly genuine. I love the idea of just be yourself, not the fake it till you make it. I find that nonsense. Is this something you work at? I mean, you connect very easily with people, and that is a skill unto itself.
I don't know if it's something I work at. I just try to be myself. I try to be kind. I try to be understanding. I try to be very not judgmental. And I grew up in a house with two attorneys. So judgment was every
Mhm.
single day for every little thing you did. Your hair wasn't right, your, nails weren't right, things like that. Your grades weren't right, things of that nature. So I really try not to judge anyone that I meet. And I think especially being in Hollywood and New York, those are probably the top two fast judgment places. And even if I think, even if I meet someone and I think, oh, maybe they're a little disingenuous, I always give someone the benefit of the doubt. And I always try to trust and believe in the people that I'm around. And, I think just really, the genuineness and the connection and just not judging. You don't know what anyone's gone through that day. If my hair's messy today, I could have been at the hospital with mom all day. You never know what anyone's going through.
Now, you've been both in front of the camera and behind the camera. You've lived the whole entertainment world experience where so many people would, dip their toes in and hit one failure, one block, and never try
Most
again.
people fail because they're lazy.
Or never even get close to it because of that reason. So what really helps people find success in this industry from your perspective?
I think not being afraid to take the $10 or $15 or $20 an hour job. I have met so many incredible hosts and actors and even producers, and they would rather keep the job at Starbucks. And because I think Starbucks pays like $30 an hour now, they'd rather keep that than take the, $15-$20 an hour job to maybe do something that they're not 100% comfortable with. Was I 100% comfortable the first time I produced a newscast? Not at all. You have to take the chances, and you have to, maybe you're working for a little bit less money. Also, maybe it's not your dream job. Maybe your dream is to be in front of that camera, but if someone offers you that producer job, take it. You have to have the experience, and some of the best news anchors were producers. One of my very close friends, Pedro Rivera with WABC in New York, he has had a ton of different positions in the industry, and he is the morning news anchor on ABC New York right now. And he's not afraid to, let's try this and let's try that. And if you look at his resume, he's done all kinds of photography and producing and different styles of reporting, and you cannot be afraid to do all of that. And so have I. I've done every aspect of this industry in every which way. And, maybe it's a tech job or something behind the scenes, but get around that, get in that room, get in that studio. You have to get in there, even if it's not your dream job, because eventually it'll lead you to your dream, right?
I think you're dead on. I have Jane Velez Mitchell is a very, very good friend of mine. She and I worked together a few different times. I've known her for years. She was a very well-known anchor for the, on very political, very left-wing. That wasn't her dream. She took that job so she could build her own vegan network. The job she gave up is the one everyone fights for. So I think it's exactly that. You take what's in front of you to build the relationships you need. Now, most people, if you're like, I'm just going to give up CNN so I can go build my own vegan news channel, I'd kill her if I was her agent. But that's her dream.
I like what both of you guys are talking about with the whole kind of being comfortable in discomfort.
It's
right?
comfortable being uncomfortable.
You don't grow when you're always in your safe space. You know what I'm saying? You have to expand. You have to expand past in order to actually find success or develop.
I got nuns hitting you.
You don't like safe space?
I do not believe.
You don't have a little safe space?
No,
anywhere?
I do not believe in safe spaces. I do not believe in being politically correct. I want people to say exactly what they mean, because then if they're an ass, I know exactly who they are.
Well, my safe space is in front of a steak. So
you're on a diet. You have another 25 pounds to lose.
Yeah,
Oh
it's a
my
long
goodness.
way.
Is that for a fight?
Yeah, well, in general, yes, I have to be down more than I am right now. It's a fun
He just
diet,
had to
really.
lose 30 pounds.
Should we do boot camp? I need to take off 25
I like that.
pounds too.
We do boot camp.
You do not want to do what he does. Oh my God. These guys will actually dehydrate themselves before they go in to weigh in.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
insane.
Yeah, a common practice. You do what's called water loading or water depletion. Water depletion is more popular. You take 2 gallons of water a day. You do that up until the week of the match. And then the first day of the week, 2 gallons, second day, a gallon, third day, half gallon. By fourth day, you're not taking much of anything. And then the day before you weigh in, you sit in a hot tub or sauna and just sweat out whatever you got left.
They lose like
raise in
10 to
yourself.
15 pounds.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they look
yeah.
incredible. Like these guys, because they're so ripped, because there's no fluid on them. They're so ripped. They're all muscle. They look gorgeous. They can barely stand up by the time the weigh-ins happen.
Oh, it's just,
Oh,
just
no.
terrible.
But if they don't do it because their opponent's doing it, they're going to be 20 pounds less than their opponent. So it's really, really, really a messed up industry.
Yeah.
Now, in your case, media has become incredibly polarized. I'm not a fan of American politics. I think both sides are stupid. But it has become, very much an echo chamber, very polarized. Media has become very much yours or mine based on what you believe. The exceptions are columns like yours, which are general consumption columns. What do you think from your perspective in media about the polarization of media?
Oh, it's disgusting. It is so sad to me because I growing up in New York, I don't even remember, I remember knowing the difference between Democrat and Republican, right? But I never remember it being a problem of any kind, right? When you would watch the news, it was simply the information being presented to you. And it is so sad to me to see, the changes take place. And I will tell you, this election day, I have at least 6 or 7 friends of mine with 6-figure, 7-figure positions with major network stations that handed in their resignation because they said,
Wow.
we're not doing this again. And, it's so sad to me to see what some of the channels have become. I'm grateful that the stations that I worked for were not based on opinion. Again, they were affiliates, so it was more local news. It wasn't as national. Of course, when we had big national stories, we would have to air those, but it was not focused on the commentary the way that I cringe when I see some clips from certain channels. It's so sad to me, and I think it's raising a generation of, we talked about being judgmental, a generation of extremely judgmental youth, and it's just not, and hyper opinionated youth. I mean, when you're 5, 6 years old, should you know the difference between a Democrat and a Republican?
Yeah, is it really essential for your upbringing at that point?
I think it's genius. It's the best marketing campaign anyone's ever
For
had.
God's sakes, always about business and
It's
it
brilliant.
work.
Okay, a friend of mine who works over at Disney
Yes.
and loves the fact that half of his people are Democrats, half are Republicans. They both work for him, and he puts them at each other on purpose. Makes him a fortune. Best marketing campaign ever. Destroying the country. Best marketing campaign ever.
But it's a reality show.
Of course.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I said come back to the Commonwealth. Forget this whole, American thing you're doing. Come back. I've got a king I can give you. It's great.
I've got a king I can give you.
I've got a king.
It's much easier than this. Because what you guys are doing is idiocracy.
Do you know the joke? There's a joke in New York growing up about a little bit of a dad joke, but in fact, my dad did used to make the comment, well, if you believe that, I'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yes.
Do you know someone actually sold the Brooklyn Bridge? They did. That's where it come from. Anyone, if you've got a chance, I'm telling you, Google it. There was a man who sold to one of my countrymen, unfortunately, to a moron. He actually sold the Brooklyn Bridge.
You got to have some good fake papers for that one.
No, he just talked him into it. He was that good a salesman.
All word
Really,
of
Dale
mouth.
Carnegie should have written about him.
I
But
I know.
brilliant.
I get told I should have gone into sales because I'll sell you, the pants off of me. I'm like, oh, these are the best, and and you have to have them.
It's about the likable. I would buy from you because I like you. People don't
Yeah.
like to be sold. They like
Personable
to buy.
matters.
You're personable. I'll watch what you have. I'll read your column, and it's simply because I like you. So if you ever want to go into politics, you'd be great at that polarization thing because people would follow you.
Oh gosh, I'd be
That or
so
you could be a
happy
cult
and
leader.
apologetic.
Either would work. Either would work. That or become a cult leader. You can do either one very well.
Oh yeah, please. Let's do another Jonestown. No, I'm kidding.
Go to the corner.
I want to touch upon something real quick because we briefly mentioned it several times about modern day media and social media integration with news outlets. I wanted to get your take on how you feel news is spread across social media in the sense of, is it a benefit to see how fast things go? Is it a benefit to see so many different opinions and divisiveness? Because I can get my news from someone who's hard left, hard right, middle ground, whatever, and they'll all be just as strongly opinionated as the other, just as vitriol about the other side than the other side.
Vitriolic.
Sorry, vitriolic. Thank you very much. I get hit in that a lot. So is that really beneficial for anyone to see that side of news, or we really need to stick back to what Walter Cronkite would do, or just here's information, you decide what you want to do with it?
I agree with you. Even the television stations are prioritizing social media. Having worked in the television stations, you have to put an article online, you have to do your broadcast, and then you have to do a post to social media almost every day. That's what's required of you. So I absolutely agree with you that I think social media is the future. I think that the days of turning on channel 11 or 5 or whatever to it's not there. I think that viewing audience we're losing, but I do think we're gaining this viewing audience on your phone that if I get this story up fast enough on social media, you'll read it first, you'll hear ideally the truth, right, and not someone's opinion. But there's some really incredible people who've made a living off of giving their opinions on both sides. And, I definitely try to listen to what I can. If there's a situation that I'm particularly confused about, there's certain pages on social media that I really try to follow to say, okay, well, what is this person saying about it? What is this commentator saying about it? I think social media is a blessing, but I also think it's very scary because it's all uncharted territory. We don't have there's no, you can't go to grandma for advice on what to do on Instagram, right? And I think we're the first generation that doesn't have people to go to advice for. I think that, in the past, I could ask my mom, oh, a boy likes me, what do I do? Right. And, now with social media, it's not as easy to go to anyone. So I think that's a really key thing as well, that we're sort of on our own and we're venturing this. And I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know, what the future is going to hold, but I definitely think, make sure whomever you're following in the news industry, in the commentating and opinion industry, make sure it's people who you trust that are not going to put false information out there, because I think, was it Martin Luther King Jr. who said ignorance is the most dangerous thing to our country, or something like that?
Yeah.
Yes. It's actually what created the American boom was an expansion in the 50s, the unionization of your car companies, and the hard push. You guys had the hardest push in the history of the world towards education in the 50s and 60s. So that is,
it got to the moon.
It did. It made you guys brilliant for a hot minute there. Now, I'm just saying. Now, if they do want to follow you, where can they follow you? And I do recommend, if you do want to know what's going on, follow her. Some of the articles she puts out, if this is where you want to climb, I hear all of you saying you want to be Bear. I hear all of you saying you want to get big, you want to do this. I tell you all the time, it isn't who you know, it's who knows you and who will pick up the phone when you call. You have to build those relationships.
I love that.
Well, you have the right personality. You have the ability to do that, and you're around the right people. So I'd like to encourage our audience to follow you. Where can they find you?
Thank you so much. My Instagram and X are at Laura Aronson. So it's LauraAronso. Laura Aronson was taken. So we just dropped the N off the end of it.
Laura.
If you want, we can start a campaign against that Laura Aronson, get her account deactivated, and then the name is up for grabs.
Oh, that always works wonderfully. Ask Blake Lively.
I would never want to go after anyone. I hope she's a beautiful, wonderful Laura Aronson and is living the greatest life in the world. And, what's funny is the reason I came up with that is I thought, well, I didn't want to put any extra letters on the end. And I thought, well, if people are typing it, I'm the first that'll come up because they'll get to the SO.
Actually,
Yeah,
that's
that's a good
brilliant.
idea.
I'm not gonna. I lecture over at USC, UCLA. I talk at Comic Con. I talk at the film festivals. All of it about how to get big and how to use social media to push your projects. And that bloody well never occurred to me. That's going in the next lecture as well.
I
That's
love
going
it.
in the
I
next
love
lecture.
it. I love it.
Yeah, I've never
She's
thought
now
to give out a
written-
social media tip based about like how you orient your name.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you used to tell people start your business with an A, so you're first in the phone book. So same concept. I'm just sitting here. I'm like that. I feel like an idiot. You have now written my next TED talk and my next lecture at the film festival. Thank
I
you
am
for
so
doing my
honored.
job for
Well,
me.
the Instagram and TikTok name that I did get is Breaking News Babe. It
Ooh,
started
I
as
like
just
that.
a fun little project and thinking what I could do. And I'm really excited about it. Breaking News Babe, my sort of idea for it is let's do some of the stories that get lost in the scrolling, some of the local news pieces, some of the really influential people that you should be hearing from that get lost in your scrolling. Like Bear was saying, you have people coming up who you're not sure you want to listen to in your
Right. Right.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I'm actually, that's really cool to hear. Is there ever been a story or some kind of breaking news that really excited you? It doesn't have to be good or bad, just something that really caught your attention.
I mean, we've had some incredible stories. I was fortunate enough to work for CBS at the end of Title 42, and they sent me to the border of Mexico. And that story that I did was probably one of the most interesting to me because when you hear about our borders, you think that, oh, the border of Mexico is all people coming from South America, and it's not. I was hearing people speaking Russian, people speaking Chinese. There is such diversity at the border, and it's open. I mean, I've crossed the border multiple times while working for the news station, and it is shockingly easy to cross our borders, and that is something that I learned, and that story that I did I was incredibly proud of. And even learning from getting to interview a mother who was crossing the border to have her baby in our country. I mean, some of these stories are just absolutely mind blowing. And I think the end of Title 42 was, I was working for CBS. That was probably one of the biggest stories that I covered, and one of the most interesting to me. But every day there's breaking news, and every day there's things that get lost in the mix, and I think that it's really important that we sort of shed a light on people who are doing good in our world and some of the incredible philanthropy that's going on, and not just the people taking salaries from the organizations, but people who are
Right.
truly doing good work.
yeah.
And so that's what I'm excited to do. And hopefully we can collaborate as well, because I know you have an incredible foundation.
Well,
He
thank you.
punches
Yes.
children.
No, I mean, it's part of it. It's not everything. It's controlled. They learn how to defend themselves. But yeah,
Bear runs
absolutely.
a non-profit. For those I know with the show, anyone new, Bear runs and created with his mother a non-profit where they teach martial arts to underprivileged people across the world. He has multiple locations, goes into different places, works with the Boys and Girls Club. And one of the things we do on this show is the money goes, of course, to free MMA.
If
He
we
teaches
curse.
self-defense. That is called the Sean Patrick Flannery rule because he said the F word 72 or 73 times in
Yes.
30 minutes.
And we had to make a positive out of it.
Yeah, except we were live at Comic-Con, so it was projected to the entire Comic-Con. Not a
Oh,
great day.
no.
So we did give, so we set up the charity. We work with the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Humane Society, and Free MMA. And so essentially, he teaches martial arts to anyone and everyone. Where Bear grew up, everyone that dropped out of martial arts, gangs, drugs, or dead. And if you have to choose between a phone bill and
Well, if you have
martial
to,
arts,
when you think about it, you're going to pay for your electricity. You're going to pay for your kids' extracurricular activities that are not essential for living. So that's where the whole concept.
he's trying
of
to make martial
can-
arts a fundamental right.
Right. And I want that to be included everywhere. Right now, you barely get 4 years of wrestling in high school, and that's all you're guaranteed. I think it should be throughout your whole grade school years. It should be a part of your childhood. But we're working on it.
The sum up is Bear punches children.
No,
Yeah.
I think that, teaching self-defense is just so important. Our country is so scary. You hear these stories of horrible domestic situations, horrible situations on the street. I live in downtown LA now, and I previously lived in
God.
New York City. So I I am very well aware that you have to know how to defend yourself.
Yeah, you
And
pick some very safe places
Yeah,
to
it's
reside in. Honestly.
wonderful. Actually, one of my favorite stories I'll tell you, and I'll keep it very short because I want to hear more about you. Bear had a girl come in because she was being bullied at school. She was 13, and she'd taken martial arts lessons. He does the classes in a place called Cathedral City, not necessarily the safest area. There'd been break-ins after break-ins, and a couple broke into her home. It was just her and her mother. They didn't have masks on. They'd actually been raping and murdering people in the area. This little girl, 13, is looking at this going, oh my God. She said, I've seen their face. I know what's going on. And so one of them walked out of the room and she cold cocked the other, knocked him out clean, took the gun. Her and her mum called the police, and it was because of these lessons. And of course, the way the mother calls Bear and goes, thank you very much. You know, our daughter saved my life and her life, because this couple had been going through, and the daughter had just decided they're going to kill me. And he always tells them, give people what they want. There's no point in fighting over a wallet or an iPhone. But if you're going to die, you don't leave the location and you fight like you're going to die. This little girl knocked out a grown-ass man.
I don't teach kids to punch gunmen. I'm just putting that
In
out
that
there
case,
as a
you
disclaimer.
did.
But I do think that you have to be willing to take. We talked about this entire show. To be willing to take the chance. You know,
If
you
you're
have to be
going to
willing
die, try and live.
get out there and do whatever you can, do the best possible. And in that case, yes, it's do or die in some cases, or it's do or this other guy or gal takes the job you're really trying to go after. So you have to be willing and have the confidence to go after it yourself.
Did you just compare your 13-year-old student knocking out a
I am
serial killer
comparing it to bring
to
it
a
back
job?
to the show.
how
Okay.
no, how proud were you when you got that call? I
This
can't
isn't
even
horrifying.
fucking proud at
what's
all.
going
Scared.
through.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to remind everyone, every time we
I
use
was
bad language, we
terrified.
give money to the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Humane Society of America, and Free MMA. We swear because we care. Don't do it again.
It's not like I was mad at her because she obviously protected herself and her family, but it was definitely less of like a great job and more like a
Oh my God.
good, you're alive. I'm really happy to know that primarily over anything else. That's what the priority is.
But that's spoken like a true fighter, right? Because you only do when you have to, you know. I think that's an
Yeah.
incredible thing. And I think something that even just from different people I've heard in your industry, and there is sort of that pugnacious, eager to fight personality. And I love that you were kind of like, oh my God, no, I was terrified that she was in this situation. You know, that was just such a genuine, you know, you can tell you really have a passion for it and you're in it for the right reasons.
I like to hope so. I like to hope that I can give that to my students as well as they grow up. That's the whole point of the nonprofit, is to benefit everybody.
We'll have to drag you out to come do some classes with him.
Oh, I
Oh,
would love
yes.
to. Yes. And I have, I was recently introduced to a couple of friends who work in the stunt profession. And so we'll
Oh,
have to
cool.
get some TikToks done. And I have some great ideas as well, how we can collaborate. You know, we've talked about getting you out to New York and doing some events as well. And, you know, we've got some big ideas.
I know we're going out. Prince Mario Max has an interview party we're going to at the end of the year in New York. So I know we'll be there for that, and then he's going to be out for a fight. So we're going to have to time this. And while you're in Los Angeles, we'll have to bring you out to Palm Springs and have you do some stuff with him and do all of that fun stuff. And he's got a show we're doing with ESPN that I want to drag you into as well. And then I have a show that I'm trying to put you in. So we have a whole bunch there. You'll need to back me up. I'm trying to put her in a show. Oh yeah. I'm trying to put her in a show. You'll need to back me up here. Now, you've told everyone where you can where they can follow you. If they want to keep up on your work, they can find you in the Hamptons magazine.
Yes, and I'm gonna try to launch I'm going to launch. Let me get my confidence here. Not I'm going to try to. I would like to launch Breaking News Babe by the end of the year. I'm not sure if that's gonna be more in the podcast nature, if it's just gonna be me making videos in my bedroom, but there's some incredible stories that I see when I'm scrolling that get lost in other people's scrolling, and I really want to highlight those and try to focus on uplifting and telling some incredible stories. And so my passion is breaking news. That's where I started in this industry. And, you know, I'm really excited to be able to do that.
Not that I want to shoehorn and govern how you want to do your page, but as an idea, right?
Yeah, I would love to hear.
Reaction content is very popular right now. I do a lot of it myself. I think it'd be really fun to watch someone who would take a not divisive, but a very opinionated stance from somebody else and be more along the lines of, yeah, they're just acting that way for dramatic effect. Here's the real news of what happened. Here's the whole story. Now you as the audience get to pick and choose how you feel about it.
I love that Breaking News Babe thing. And
So much.
The sooner you start it, the better, because if you don't, someone else will. So I can't wait to see it. I'd love to see you do it from your bedroom. The more authentic, the better. You have a great personality. You are very sellable. When you start doing that, send it to us. He'll push it on his page. I've got a bunch of influencers. Everyone will push it on their pages. I love that you're doing that.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Yeah, so I have the Instagram, I have the TikTok. We're working on some paperwork to do some LLCs and some really incredible things. And ideally, I would like to be able, if I do profit from it at all, I would like to be able to donate that. But we're in the process of. I was just at an incredible charity event this weekend with the ALS organization, and Kate Linder, who you may know, is on the governors of the Television Academy, and she's worked with SAG for many years. She's been on The Young and the Restless. So I've done some incredible charity work with her and different organizations in the Hamptons, and just, whatever we can do to give back. And that's what I love about the two of you as well, that's, your focus as well. And just let's do some good in this world.
I like that. That is the best way. I think that's going to be our sign off. Usually we put the guest off and I do a sign off. We're going to keep her on and leave that as a sign off. Do some good in the world. And I'm going to tell you all the same thing. Do some good in the world. Let's all do some good in the world, because there are very few people right now that do. Everyone's focused on what they think, what they feel. And, I'm a huge proponent of there's no such thing as your truth, just the truth. So I like that. I don't think there is subjective good. Do good. Follow her. Do good. Make sure you're following breaking news, babe. That is definitely going to be my go-to news source. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such an honor.
And I look forward to having you again. And then you and I are going to speak after this, and I'm going to drag you into a television show.
Yes, we need to have multiple conversations. We've got a lot of good to do.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for joining us. I'm the Baroness. We are on with my co-host, Bear Fiorda. And thank you very, very much to our guest. She is spectacular. Follow her. I'm telling you, her page will blow up, and I'm never wrong. We'll see you next week. Good night.
This has been Behind the Scenes with the Baroness and Bear Fiorda. Only on Talk 4 Media.